right here is your song. Do me a favor and put your hair back. Kick your feet up. And make yourself a nice stiff drink.
I need a parochial Irish Catholic girl. Matter of fact, I went and got me one to share my world. She doesn't have red hair, but she treats me right. She makes me dinner when I come home at night from a long day at work of stressing and bugging. She unclenches my fist when I feel like slugging. Certain powers that be or invisible demons. She closes my mouth when I feel like screaming. That makes me realize I rise when I fall. Things I'm mad about become nothing at all when I'm up against the wall or I'm catching a brick. I learned not to disrespect my Irish chick. And if my Irish Richard ever goes astray, she'll bonfire my clothes on the lawn the next day while my neighbors all say as they laugh and pass me, you're feeling melancholy cause you tried to dog Lassie. Hell full of love that we failed to show. He's all you endured and never let your man go. As it's all the stubbornness we showed through the years. There's staying by our side when we drank too many beers. My eyes for you Irishmen stuck at the bar. He should be the endless love you have for who they are. They're your last scene. The lady of your life, they're your last scene. Now go home to your wife. My clattering is pointed toward my heart and my hand because I know it ain't easy dealing with an Irish man. So I can understand how us Irishmen get. We drink and we curse, chain smoking cigarettes while the chip on our shoulder puts the ice in our veins. My blue eyes are colder than the ice and rappers change going out of my brain. When my temper starts to flare, use the Lord's name in vain. When I know I shouldn't swear, taught to show no fear. I act weepy and whiny, in case the ground goes blight. That's right, we keep it grimy. Celtic roots run deep, that's why we're firmly planted. Wherever we stand, what was taken for granted is the loyalty shown by the ladies at our side who deal with our stubbornness and foolish pride. They get red as their freckles that decorate the skin when we feed their intolerant peace within. Hell full of love that we failed to show. He's all you endured and never let your man go. As it's all the stubbornness we showed through the years. There's staying by our side when we drank too many beers. My eyes for you Irishmen stuck at the bar. He should be the endless love you have for who they are. They're your last scene. The lady of your life, they're your last scene. Now go home to your wife. Irish women got thick skin, they've got strong flesh. Peace to all of my women who lost loved ones in long catch. I know it feels rotten, not forgotten is those men. And every time I rhyme I bring the hunger of 10. Then I look at what happened on the streets of Derry. I feel for all you mothers whose sons they got buried at the hands of those wankers working for a Union Jack who shot and killed people that couldn't shoot back. Breaking the hearts of mothers, sisters and wives who breathe with this pain for the rest of
Shayminn and Lassie caught up with the man himself yesterday on the phone for a chat. Well, this week's interview is with Boston's Kevin Patrick O'Brien, Shayminn with the two N's, not to be confused with the Pokemon character. And you can't get any more Irish than tunes like Lassie. Anyways, welcome to the show, Kevin.
Hey, what's going on? What's the crack, Ireland? How you doing?
Yeah, all good here. Delighted to have you on here. So there's so much to talk about. You've been involved in the scene for many a year anyway. So suppose we can start at the beginning. Your musical journey. How did you become involved in hip hop or music?
Okay, basically I started when I saw Michael Jackson do the moonwalk at Motown 25. And, so that was like 1983. Yes, everybody, for all you youngins, I am that old. So, I saw Michael Jackson do the moonwalk and I said, whoa, what's that? And then when I saw it, I did it till I learned it cold. So I started there. Then I started seeing breakdancing through movies like Breakin' and Beat Street and Wild Style. These are all classic hip hop movies. And next thing you know, I'm going around the neighborhood and we're all doing it for fun. I grew up outside of Boston about a half an hour, so it was more like a fad, you know what I mean? And it kind of faded out and, and basically, it faded out and I just went back to playing sports and got away from music and hip hop or having any desire to do it because I grew up playing basketball and baseball was just something to do until basketball started. So,
right.
But what happened was there was this group out of Boston in 1989. They're a boy band, but they just had, regardless of what they are, they had a huge impact on me. Was New Kids on the Block, whose concert I was actually just at last Friday. Yeah, and they were humongous. So, I mean, I heard about them in, I think like 88. But I remember I got a gift certificate to a place called Strawberries Records and Tapes here. And I bought 2 tapes that day. They're out. Their breakthrough album at that time, Hanging Tough, and I bought the Colors soundtrack, classic Ice-T song, Colors, and you know, Ice-T, who went on to be an actor, New Jack City,
Body Count,
SBU, Body Count, all that stuff, and so I bought those 2 albums, and like, little did I know that Hanging Tough would forever change the course of my life, because I didn't just do reactionary stuff. I still was just playing ball and this, that, and the third. And I remember me and some friends sat down one day and watched an interview with those guys, and they were talking about how the girls would go cuckoo and, taking grass. We thought it was mental. So the thing was like, okay, I didn't really get a lot of attention from girls back then for whatever reason. I just led a square peg in a round hole existence, I guess. And so when that whole thing came along, we were like, John Lennon said it best from the Beatles, said it best about Elvis. And he was in the theater one day and saw all the people react to Elvis and said, that looks like a pretty cool job right there. And that planted the seed for him to form the Beatles. And it was the same thing with me. And I'm not putting the Beatles and New Kids on the same level, but it was the same effect. With me, it was like, okay, sing, get chicks. All right, that's the move. So like a bunch of us, like 3 or 4 of us, put this little pop, barely R&B thing together. We were called Big Impression. We were horrible. But you know what the funny thing is? The funny dynamic? I sang, and I still didn't get chicks because I was a male fan of New Kids, all the girls thought I was gay.
Right. Yeah, that could happen, all right?
That didn't reverse my luck whatsoever. You know what I mean? But obviously, I started getting back into hip hop hardcore, after that. It was just like, Public Enemy, Ice Cube, NWA, X-Clan, EPMD, Big Daddy Kane, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Redman, Keith Murray, on and on and on. I can name so many different hip hop acts, and they all had an effect on me. So after a while, I was kind of doing the sing dance thing. I was heavily inspired by also R&B, and at the time there was this sound called New Jack Swing. Because also from my city that really inspired me was New Edition. Right. And New Edition is like the reason why there's New Kids. New Edition is like, as far as the modern model is concerned, you take whoever. If there's 5 guys dancing, everybody owes it to New Edition, who also sprouted from my backyard. And they went on to do Bobby Brown, Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison, Ralph Tresvant, Johnny Gill. You know what I mean? Like, they were like an entity in themselves, and they came out of my backyard. Yeah, that's right there. And then we started having some rap acts out of here. Almighty RSO, Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs. So many like different things that I watched, and it went, wow, I was entranced because I was doing the sing and dance thing, but like, it just wasn't doing it for me, meaning like allowing myself to express myself, you know what I mean? And I basically I was like, all right, I can only say what I want to say. Everything on my mind wasn't "Girl, I Love You," so I got into writing raps, you know what I mean? Yeah. And next thing you know, here we are all these years later, and I'm still, but I have all these different influences. I don't know if you noticed through listening to my music, Danny, that I have so many different influences and styles.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, whether I got skills as a rapper or an MC, that's for everybody else to decide. My thing that I can say with 100% assuredness is that I think my versatility is my greatest strength. Yeah. Meaning, like, not one song sounds the same. I'm not going to have songs for just dudes with backpacks or strictly chicks or, this, that, and the third. I don't try to limit myself because someone told me, they gave me 2 best pieces of advice. So kids, if you're listening, they said, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Number 1. Number 2, and this is basically the scenic root of the word versatility. They said, have a style where someone can get smacked any way they want to get hit. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
In other words, like, if you go in this game or treat it like a boxing ring, if you're a one-arm boxer, you know, how fast are you going to get knocked out? You should be, your stuff will be all over. Sorry to curse.
It's going out that past 10 o'clock. You can curse away.
Okay. All right. I just want to be doubly sure, you know. So, I mean, that's what happened. But I would think a huge turning point for me, because of New Kids, I was watching Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Yes, Mark Wahlberg was once known as Marky Mark, and you know, all the guys in the Funky Bunch are like all those guys are like my brothers. You know what I mean? We're real tight. You know what I mean? And I met Mark like once, but anyways, I watched that whole thing and the hugeness of it. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, you know, so that spurred me on even further. Or I was listening to groups like Third Base, and then, you know, then came the huge one that would be a catalyst for us even being here right now talking, you know, would be House of Pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everlast, Danny Boy, DJ Lethal, you know what I mean? And I was sitting at my I think I got kicked out by my mom one night for whatever reason. You know, I lost count. So I was, so back in the day, the only two places you could really get your hip hop fix, because MTV wasn't running it on regular rotation yet, was Yo MTV Raps, which was hosted by Fab Five Freddy, who was also in the classic hip hop movie Wild Style that I referenced earlier, with also Debbie Harry from Blondie, you know, and the other one was the Arsenio Hall show. So Yo MTV Raps was the one that introduced me to House of Pain, because here I am, you know, and all of a sudden I'm watching this video, and here is this St. Patrick's Day parade going down the street, and I thought it was a commercial. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was some commercial, like it went to commercial. But here's the funny thing: it was nowhere near Patty's Day. So I sat there and I said, "What in the fuck is that?" And then all of a sudden, you know, there's this bald dude, you know, and I know Everlast was with Ice-T before he was with House of Pain. You know, Ice-T brought him in the game, and he put out an album. His hit single back then was "I Got the Knack," you know, but then he formed House of Pain with Danny Boy O'Connor and DJ Lethal. Okay, and so like I said, all of a sudden I see this bald dude in a pub rapping, right? And now the magnetizing thing that I connected with immediately was the fact he was wearing a Larry Bird jersey, okay, because they have Celtic over in Scotland, hugely popular.
Yeah, this football team.
And here in basketball, it's the Celtics, you know. And again, my favorite sport when I was a kid, my first love was basketball. And my guy that I looked up to as far as like wanted to be like him, like my first quote unquote hero was Larry Bird, who played for the Celtics. If you guys don't know who he is, just you know, Google him. He's insane. You know what I mean? How good he was. So I saw that straight away immediately, and I'm seeing all the stuff in the background. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is this? Every Irish American kid was going mental. You know what I mean? On this side of the pond. And it instills you.
They were big over this side. They were big over this side of the pond as well. During the 90s, I remember them. Like I'd be similar age to yourself, I'd say. But
right.
And listen to an interview you done on one of them US stations. I can never remember the name of them because they always have one of these big long WX, you know, an alphabet and then FM. But it was one of the US.
Yeah.
You were on about the changes in the music, how it's come. The hip hop has turned very commercial in the last few years.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is that, like, you know what's funny is it has become what it's become, and I accept it. Like, I used to be like, and this is where my kids have helped me evolve. Like, I've grown past what I'm about to explain. Like, I mean, all the way back, like, being whack was a cardinal sin. Like, whack means, for those that don't know, whack means, I'm sure everybody does, but whack means, like, you suck. Your stuff is shit. That's the one thing. And back in the day, you know, if you were whack or you weren't original, you know what I mean? It was a cardinal sin. Now it's embraced and everybody, you know, I know people are out there listening, right? Oh, I don't like trap music, and I don't like this, and I don't like mumble rap, and blah, 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 blah. And this artist and that artist suck. The funny thing is this. It really has little to do with the artist. It has more to do with the record labels, right?
Yeah.
Say Danny Coffey goes into Def Jam Records,
yeah.
and you bring your demo with you. And then they say, okay, Danny, have a seat. What do you rap about? And then you sit there and say, let's just use an example, something off the wall. I rap about cows and electric fences. And then they'll look at you and they'll go, okay, that's cool, but where's your song about how come you're not mumbling over your tracks? How come you're not talking about bitches and bling? Or how come you're not talking about whatever? And then they say, well, if you're not talking about anything, then take your bullshit ass demo and get the fuck out of my office. But if you want to do it our way, sign on the dotted line, and you'll make more money than the universe can offer.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? And
I think there's a whole underground scene. Well, over here in Ireland, where you have just there last week, Steve Locke and Marks put out a track, "Lost," which is a brilliant track. And if you haven't listened to it, just to the listeners, check that out. But it's about prescription drugs. But would it get played on? No, it get played on this station, and I suppose Near FM up in Dublin with Ian Burke.
Right.
But
that's my man.
And a few others. But the mainstream wouldn't go near it because it's we will not go near it. But it's an absolutely it's brilliant, excellent.
Well,
it's
again,
but it's real though.
Sorry. Yeah. I don't mean to interject, Danny. I mean, look, put it this way. I stood with someone stood 3 feet from me, and they were from Sony Music. No, it wasn't in some corporate office that I just explained. And she looked me bang in the eye, and it goes back to what I said about it's not what you do, it's how you do it. In other words, she looked me bang in the eye, and she says, if you're trying to do what's out there or what's already been done, you're too late. You got to do what's next. And the way I see it is you got to beat them at their own game, because let's say your rap name's Little Danny, and you're the hottest thing. They go, okay, get me 10 more Little Dannies with the same style, right? So what do? They take it and they mass produce it. They give it a brand like Trap, and then they mass produce it. It's no different than say Pepsi and Coke. You know what I mean? And man, I talk to Mox all the time. Big ups to Mox, repping Belfast. Daz is up there putting on for Irish hip hop as well. Ian Bork, Ian Bork, I talk to him on the regular. We have like a good relationship through them. Like I've gotten Boston artists that are like comrades of mine played over there. I'll be like, yo, Ian, play this. Matter of fact, they're in Patty's Day. The Funky Bunch minus Mark have this song called My Favorite Color Green. You know what I mean? And Ian played it, and he was expecting some good vibration shit. And I just was like, nah, just keep an open mind. And he loved the track. And I have another guy, Mickey Red Venom, Irish roots, born in Dublin, raised in Manchester, England. Right, he plays stuff, you know what I mean? We're all around, man. And and I've ran events here.
I was reading,
we ran this thing.
I actually read an article back in the Boston Globe from 2007. You had CMX, Rob Kelly, all over in Boston at some gig. Now I can't remember the name of the place where it was. 2007.
Oh, man, we had. I ran 2 different events. One was with we were all part of 3 events. One time, the first one that was, it was staged, and it was like one of the first of its kind. Matter of fact, if you look at the picture, the guy that I'm in the picture with, have you ever seen the movie The Town? Have you seen that movie?
I haven't, no.
Oh, you got to watch it. Anyways,
The Town. I'll take a note of that.
I don't want to spoil it for you. I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's a scene in The Town where, the guys. It's a Ben Affleck movie. You know, Ben Affleck,
Right,
Jeremy Renner. Yeah, a few other people are in it, and you got to watch it. It's like a Boston Irish movie, like The Departed or Black Mass. You know, and the funny thing is just, you know, there's a scene in it where he, you know, drives this ambulance truck. They're all dressed up as ambulance guys, because it's a movie about bank robbers and stuff like that, which was, you know, like
Whitey Bulger type of stuff.
Yeah, and he's driving the truck out of the, you know, there was a scene where they were robbing a place called Fenway Park where the Red Sox play, and where I saw New Kids last weekend. So like in the movie, they were robbing a place, and the kid that drives out of the like through this big gate where all the cops are outside, and then he gets Swiss cheesed up by all the cops. You know, he gets shot in the movie. You know, he's actually a hip hop artist and was part of it, that event that night, the Irish Hip Hop Throwdown, in December 7th of 2007. And in that picture, his name's Slain. You know what I mean? And he's Slain performed that night. You know, Rob Kelly, a good friend of mine, Sully from the White Rapper Show that MC Search put on years ago. CMX, me, Tanya D, Andy Brady, better known as Terrorist. My boy Rich Cronin, who was in a pop group called LFO. Rest in peace to him. He died of cancer.
We're kind of running out of time, but
I'm sorry.
How have you seen the Irish hip hop scene evolve in the last few years?
Oh man, exponentially. There's so much talent going on. I mean, those names I just mentioned, and here we are now. You know, there's so many fresh faces, new talent, you know, bringing new things to the scene. Like I said, I discovered it in 2005 on a whim, where it just all of a sudden, it was like it went right before my eyes, meaning like all these artists. And I was like a kid looking at, you know, like I always say, like on this side of the pond, I'll hear people all the time be like, yeah, I'm Irish. And I go, oh yeah? Not that I'm some exclusion to the club per se, or to the rule. I say, you know, but I was always taught, give back to what was so freely given to you. And my grandmother came here from County Fermanagh in the north. And you know, it was always instilled in me, give back to what was so freely given to you. Do you know what I mean? I also learned that in Alcoholics Anonymous. If you listen, I believe you're going to, one of the songs you're going to play is my song Bartender. That's about my drinking days right there. You know what I mean? I've been sober a long time, 20 years without a beer, but the true transformation didn't happen till I came stumbling in the program in 2010. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was at the height of, like, I crash landed there at the height where I, not only did we do things here, I was on a tour over there with all Irish hip hop artists. Again, CMX, Terrorists, Redzer, me, Muggsy from Donegal. We played Belfast, Derry, and Dublin. You know, Belfast was at Menagerie. Derry was at Sandino's, and this other place.
Sandino's a great venue.
I don't believe it's there anymore, called Eamon Doran's in Dublin, down in Temple Bar. Yeah. You know, so, but I mean, there's just, you know, and on things still go. You know what I mean? Like if you hear a lyric in my song, you know what I mean? That Bartender song, I feel, is like magical. You know what I mean? Because the love of my life is from Scotland. You know, her and I are in a long distance relationship. Her name's Maria. Big ups, hon, if you're listening. Love you. But the thing is like, there's a line in the song about my drink days where I was like, I needed two words that was like, I needed something that rhymed with seer. That was the end lyrics. So I just sat there and I was like, okay, Maria. So I was like, so the lyrics were, I try to kick game, but a shame is what I was. Bad remembering names when I was drunk or buzzed. So that would get me slapped next time that I would see you. What you mean you don't remember that my name is Maria? And there never was a Maria, you know, so that's like the crazy thing. And like, I recorded that in 06, and then here walks this girl into my life in 2012. So within 6 years, here comes, you know, it's the magic of music, man. Magic of music. And, you know, but I'm putting on for the scene still there. And I feel like this is my calling. I feel like this is,
Kevin,
my giving back. What was that?
We'll have to finish up there. What have you in the pipeline coming up, anyways?
Okay. My plan is to get back at this thing, get back and get more active again, because I really lost my confidence, my self-esteem. A lot of fears, doubts, and insecurities I'm dealing with ever since everything kind of fell apart in 2010, where you're like, I don't know, I don't want to turn into that. Do I still got it? I'm getting older, blah, 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 blah. But I got so much left in the tank. I mean, I played some legendary stages, the Apollo Theater in Harlem, New York, the 3 shows in Ireland, 1 show in England, 1 show in Holland, Toronto, Canada twice. Every neighborhood in Boston where the only one that looked like me was me, so I'm battle tested and I could still bring it on stage. You know what I mean? And, so what's coming down the pipeline in the near future is, I don't know if you're familiar with the, it was brought to my attention. I saw the movie called Philomena, right? And I have a friend of mine who I met named Rachel Keogh. And she lives in Dublin. She wrote a fantastic, phenomenal book called Dying to Survive, which is about, her kicking her drug addiction.
Yeah.
I
know the book you're on about, yeah.
What's that?
I know the book you're on about, yes. It's the...
Yeah. I mean, if you ever wanted her to get, her to come on for an interview, I can make it happen within 2 seconds, man.
That'd be great.
And also, you got to have her boyfriend on too. It's my boy Dean Byrne. He's better known as Raptor. That man is a beast. He's an animal behind the mic. He's so dope, But we're all sitting here, and so that like Rachel's book spoke to me because my sister-in-law died of heroin back in 2014, and I'm in recovery. From alcohol. Kind of different, but the same, addiction, alcoholism, it's all the same pretty much when you shake it down. But Rachel is now, I saw the movie Philomena, and then Rachel further, briefed me on it. And I just kind of was like, you got to be kidding me that there's this place in Dublin called Sean Ross Abbey, and they found there's these babies that are undocumented, unfound. You know what I mean? And everything is being kept under wraps for some reason. You know what I mean? And that's being done, I don't know, politics and BS.
Yeah, there was a commission report on it recently on that.
Yeah. And I always, I went through that here over the last however many years. And I'm like, and everybody's on one side or the other, and everybody's acting like their guy is for them. And it's like, nobody cares. It's like they implement their agenda and then they walk right down the middle and flip off both sides. It's like divide to conquer. They love that type of stuff. So, and they just over there, they just sealed the records for another 30 years. And so we want to run an event. We're going to run an event next year. Rachel's spearheading the whole thing, because it's like, if I kind of used it like this. If you take the letters USA, I'll compare it like this. USA here, United States of America, right? That's what it stands for.
Yeah.
So if you take out the A, what do you got? You got the word us.
Yeah.
And you know why you got us? Because they don't give a fuck about you, me, and a forest full of trees, because they'll knock those down to make fucking condos. You know what I mean? Whatever. But I mean, it's the same thing over there, with this whole thing. You know what I mean? So I feel like my calling again is to kind of drudge up some support on this side of things, like the Irish American market. Even with Irish hip hop, like everything Ireland here is big business. Business. Big business. The nostalgia.
Kevin, I'm going to have to. We're going to have to wrap it up now, Kevin. We can get your music on. Where can we find your music?
Okay. Let's go down the line. You can get me on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Shayminn, SHAYMINN. You can also get me, I put out, a release back in 2009. It's actually on Spotify. It's Shayminn with one N, SHAYMIN, and then it's the title of the album is Pogue Mahone. It was like Yes, the same Pog Mahone, Poggmothon. You know, you can get me on Twitter, twitter.com/Shayminn, SHAYMINN. You can get me on Instagram, SHAYMINNKO. On down the line, just wherever you.
We'll put all the links into the description. Anyways, Kevin, it's been a pleasure chatting to you, and we'll have you on again because you have an awful lot to say, and we didn't even get through half of it. We didn't get through half
Danny,
of it.
we'll stay in touch. Dan, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interject. Danny, we'll stay in touch. And the minute I got some new music, you know, the minute I get some new music, I'm going to put it in Ireland first and then work on here afterwards, man, because I feel like that's where my core is. That's where my network is, you know, and if anybody out there is interested also, I leave it with this. If anybody's interested in learning about the Sean Ross Abbey concert we're going to put together, you know, to raise the fund. Right now we're raising funds through a GoFundMe. And once we get, you know, we need to reach a goal of $10,000 to put the festival on, the music festival. And once we do that, the music festival, what we're going to do after that is we're going to get the best equipment possible, you know, and raise the funds from that music festival, you know, so we can go and scan, you know, so we can put in motion and get the best equipment and, you know, top-notch, high-tech people possible to scan the grounds of Sean Ross Abbey for anomalies of unaccounted for children, which I believe is like over 1,000. Sorry for my phone going off.
No problem at all.
But
Kevin,
you know, I mean,
it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, Kevin. That's all we've time for, anyways. Well, we'll definitely get you back on again because I had a load of other questions I wanted to ask you, but you're a great chatter, anyways, and we'll chat to you again. Thanks very much, mate.
Yes, thank you.
Here's Shayminn with Today here on CRC FM.
In a clockwise fashion goes the record of life as time it keeps passing. You and me by, so let's cherish every breath. You can't bring yourself closer or further from death. It's something that happens to all types of people, categorized through class just to graduate equal. And what this means is that we all die the same. You trade momentary bliss for cheap eternal pain. Just to make a name you find what's overrated. The status of being loved doesn't mean you can't be hated. On by those who walk life's balance beam with the unfair balance that goes to either extreme. There's no in between, so the truth becomes raw. You're pushing yourself up and down on a seesaw, reflective of your world, that's why you feel uneven. The way you live your life will be exactly how you leave it. I'm gonna live for today, cause we're not promised tomorrow. Time waits for no man who lives life standing still. I'm gonna live for today, cause we're not promised tomorrow. The clock runs from the gun, so there's no time to kill. If you wanna live fast, then you'll die just as quick. They say the present's a gift, but time it starts to tick into the future as it exits the moment. What becomes more apparent is your greatest opponent. That's the man in the mirror who is guided by voices, who doesn't understand the infinity of choices, followed by repercussions of a choice that's made. Things are getting medieval in your personal crusade. Now you fight a holy war of self-imposed suspense. But what you're fighting for, does it really make sense? Does it have any meaning? Reward that feels right? Does it dwell amongst the shadows that are cousins of the night? Ask yourself these questions time and time again. Visualize Michael Jackson singing about Ben. Count backwards from 10 when you're sitting in your house as you ponder the question, am I a man or a mouse? I'm gonna live for today, cause we're not promised tomorrow. Time waits for no man who lives life standing still. I'm gonna live for today, cause we're not promised tomorrow. The clock runs from the gun, so there's no time to kill. So how does one stay humble in this jungle of greed, when some will stop at nothing just to watch you bleed? Negativity feeds on those embracing the dark side. Next thing you know, you throw from the amusement park ride. Called money and power and plastic notoriety fuels a cheap sense of importance in society. You can walk like a soldier or talk like a king. Your girl's people will tell you it don't mean a damn thing. The light will expose all you tried to mask. For truth is not something you swing from a flash. It's the greatest revealer known to blow up any spot. It pays your paradise, then builds a parking lot next to Joni Mitchell's home where you valet cars. The insecure people and self-proclaimed stars who also got to working in their personal stable as a hired disc jockey for their horse turntable.